Hello, I'm Althea Graney. Welcome to the show. Every spring for the past 4 years, a group of Simsbury artists have held an open studio event. This year, they are opening their studios on Saturday, May 3rd, and Sunday, May 4th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and inviting everyone to come speak with them and see their art. Maps will be available at each artist's studio and the Ellsworth Center of the Historical Society in Simsbury's Phelps Plantation. Information is also available at simsburyartists.org. That's simsburyartists.org. When the artists approached me to create this show, I started wondering about the inspiration that drives these artists to create and the mediums that they choose. And that leads me to ask you, what inspires you? Is there a sight, sound, or smell that tugs at your heart? Do you like forests, barns, landmarks, animals, or flowers? What makes you love a certain painting, bowl, vase, or photograph? What medium are you attracted to? If you don't have the answers to these questions, it's okay. I don't have the answers either. So let's go exploring the world of Simsbury's talented artists and see what has inspired them and how they create their art. Let's begin with Vicente Garcia. Vicente is a talented three-dimensional artist with a fantastic studio where he creates beautiful pots and spectacular metal sculptures. Sit back and enjoy the following clip provided by Vicente with music by Gabriel Garcia. Many artists use paints to create art. Racca Burrows is our next artist. She has a new project she's exploring. Let's go see what it is.
Hi, I'm Racca Burrows, and I'm one of the artists in Simsbury Open Studios.
And what are you currently working on?
Well, right now I'm working on a lot of different things. I have a pig, which I'm almost done. Recently, I took a class with Bill Simpson, an artist in Granby, and did this forest painting. So from this, Bill introduced me to an artist, Eric Aho. He asked if I was familiar with his work, and at the time I wasn't, so we pulled up some of his work on his iPad, and it was just amazing, the lights and the darks. I really, really, really liked it. I like color, I like texture, but I also really like light and dark. And so from that, a couple weeks ago, I started, for some reason crows were coming into my head. I've done crows in the past, but they just kept appearing. So what I'm doing to get ready for my abstract painting, realistic abstract I think is what it's going to be. You'll be able to tell it's a crow. At least that's what I'm envisioning in my head. But I'm going to pull in some other elements. So what I'm doing right now on cardboard is I'm just doing several sketches. So I have this guy, and got some color added here, and then I have this guy also. So I have several more pieces of cardboard here that are prepared and ready to go. And now I want to take the largest paintbrush that I can and really try to draw my crows much more abstract. And then my plan is to put them on a canvas about this big and see where I go with it.
Okay. Well, I'll be interested to see how that comes out.
Well, come by Simsbury Open Studios and you can see.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Debra Leonard found inspiration during our long, cold winter. See the inspiration and watch the painting evolve. Then see the process for choosing a picture frame.
So I was just going to show the difference that a frame can make, because I spend a lot of time choosing the right frame for the painting. So this is how it looks in gold, and you get a totally different feeling if you put it in something like this.
Yeah, dark, yeah.
This was a dreary day, like we had so many of. So that's the look in dark. Not quite so dreary now.
Right.
But I think this is better in the darker frame, and then the seascape is better in the gold.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, but it's amazing to see the differences, I think. Just gives me an idea of where I'm going to head.
Mm-hmm. Let's warm up with April Aldegheri's photography. You'll be able to see April and her photography at the Ellsworth Center on May 3rd and 4th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Meanwhile, relax with this sampling of her work. Have you seen Ruth Jamison's portraits? They are alive with light and color. Here's a sample with an explanation of how 3 paintings can evolve from one inspiration.
Hi, my name is Ruth Jamison. I'm an artist in Simsbury and a member of Simsbury Open Studios. I had been looking through a National Geographic magazine. I get some inspiration from some of the photos, and some of what they do is so interesting. Wherever they go in the world is fascinating to me. Mm-hmm. So I had seen this photo of an elderly couple standing in a window, which must have been a loft window, very big, and they had these rickety old geraniums in front of them. And she had a red dress on, and he had suspenders, and I just fell in love with them. They were so beautiful. The light was shining on them. And I decided to start a painting. I started this one, but I did put the windows and the geraniums, and it just was not, I wasn't happy with it. And I started sketching what I thought he would look like and what I thought she would look like. And so I always thought of her as Edna. So I started this was just going to be a quick sketch, and I decided to continue it. I added more paper to it, and I did a much more in-depth drawing. And I decided that I was ready to paint Edna and George. And I got rid of all the windows and the stuff that was superfluous, and decided to put a few geraniums in front of them and between them and the viewer. And then that brought me back to this painting, and by this point I wasn't really studying faces or anybody else. I was just painting, and I felt that Edna should have her name in the painting, and here she is on the bottom. And what I was feeling about her was that she was, at this point I've known her for a long time, and that she seemed older than her husband, and that there was something about her, maybe in my dreams or in my imagination, that she was getting closer to dying.
Here are some photos of Catherine Elliott's paintings in progress and finished.
I'm Rita Bond, and I'm the founder of Simsbury Open Studios, and I hope you all come to our Open Studios event this May. But I'm going to talk a little bit about my artwork and some of my influences. And I tend to do landscapes and seashore pictures that are somewhat abstracted, but I'm really interested in color. I love color. So sometimes ideas just evolve. Dahlias in front of a house, that was my inspiration. And I'm going to show you now what the small painting I did of it, which is this one. Hope you can see it.
Okay.
So you can see it's pretty realistic, but I made a lot of changes, and these are artistic changes because I decided I really didn't like the windows on the upper floor. And I switched them to eaves, believe it or not, and then it looked like a face. The house was a large face. And in the end, this seemed to be the simplest way to do it, and to simplify what wasn't really that important in the painting. And I became enamored of the dahlias, especially in the fall. They're so beautiful. And I went to Elizabeth Park, which is a great inspiration, and saw wonderful, wonderful dahlias there. And use those to just spin off from this idea. And I also found some other inspirations. And sometimes I'll find them in newspapers or magazines. Sometimes I'll find them in galleries. Or in this case, this came out of a gallery booklet. I was visiting Charleston. And so I decided as I'm working on this painting, I want it to be exuberant. I want it to be about color because I love color, and I don't want to portray every petal and every leaf. I just wanted to evoke a feeling of being among beautiful flowers that are so colorful. So, as you can see, it's very loosely based. I'm planning on putting lots of colors in here. I may not even keep the green here. But I do want to keep that exuberance and that larger-than-life feeling.
Ann Melvin's pottery has depth, character, and is functional. Learn about her journey to create the perfect porcelain.
I'm Ann Melvin. All my life I wanted to make my own kitchen dishes. When I had the opportunity to start making pots, I was taught to wedge the clay to align the particles, center on the wheel, and pull even walls with the clay provided for me at the studio. I made pots just like the store-bought ones I've been using my whole life. After a few years I realized there was more to functional bowls. I wanted to make a beautiful functional bowl. That meant I had to find glazes that looked better than if I'd used crayon colors. On a whim, I took a class by Betsy Tanzer in crystalline glazes 12 years ago. I was immediately hooked on the beauty and mystery of the crystals that magically appeared on my pots. To vary the color of the crystals and intensity, I had to learn chemistry behind the glaze making. My glazes no longer came in store-bought jars. I had to learn about the elements of the periodic table and how they reacted to each other and the variations in the firing temperatures. After I sort of mastered the chemistry, I wondered why some of my pots sagged or collapsed in the firing cycle of my kiln. To get a pot to stay upright required a certain amount of structural physics. Then I had to understand that circles and triangles are stronger than squares and that the bottom of the pot needs to be heavier than the top. Okay, so now my pots look just like the vases and bowls in the better stores, but still had no personality. I realized they needed a pleasing perception of proportion and beauty, and I needed to stop copying other pots and potters. Then I accidentally read about the golden ratio, inspired by objects like the nautilus shell. The classic pots of Egypt and China are based on that golden ratio. I've also learned that pots have rims, necks, shoulders, bodies, and feet, all of which need to be pleasingly proportional to each other and based on the golden ratio. I've always been on a quest for the perfect pot and the ability to create it. And I've realized there's much more to creating a good pot than centering a blob of clay on the wheel, compressing a hole in the middle of it, and calling it a bowl. The chemistry and physics and proportions all need to be in sync with each other. And I still haven't made my kitchen dishes that inspired me to start pottery.
Jackie Jakubowski has provided us with the evolutions of one of her paintings. Watch and wonder as the landscape magically appears. We're here with Julia Parker Post. Hi, Julia.
Hi,
How are you today?
just fine. Thank you for coming.
Do a lot of traveling. Is that where you get some of your inspiration for your paintings?
Yes, I'm fortunate that I have friends that I have traveled with, especially in Italy and France,
Mm-hmm.
and we go there specifically to paint.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's great inspiration, and there's nothing to do but paint because you don't have to worry about homes. I did that in France. We were in a very teeny town, and the countryside was gorgeous, and it was farmland, and just beautiful days. So I always make sure I have an amaryllis every winter, or two, sometimes more, because of course they just stay still, and so it's very nice. And I love nature, and I love gardening, and I can't do any of that in the winter, so the amaryllis is a perfect time. Give me a little change, and the colors are fabulous, and the shape is interesting, and they're always, the paintings always are a little different. Some go quickly and some don't. And I do them in all sizes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Julie. Hi, Grace.
Hi, Althea. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Well, thank you for joining us down here in the program room at the library with some of your art. And could you just tell us a little bit about the process that you go through?
That's a lot to ask for, but I will generally address the topic. You can see by looking at the three pieces that I have here that they're pretty much food-oriented. I like growing food. The art's supposed to be, it's about what I like. And I think that's as simple as that. And it's okay to paint what you like. It doesn't have to be a grand statement. Just simply something I've given some time and thought to. The first one on the left, I had obviously finished collecting them, washing them, and quite proud of having that many out of my 4 little pullets. And I love the blue, and there's a towel. It just looked really nice. Nothing more than that. The design, the composition, took a photograph of it and went to paint it. Reflections, I like challenges. The reflection's a challenge to me. Fabric's a little bit of less of a challenge. Eggs, definitely a challenge, so they don't look like rocks trying to match up the color. It's always fun to have a painting challenge. And I was relatively okay with this results. And the middle one, I love painting the garlic. I think that's probably the piece that, the part of the painting that people are drawn to. Annoyed with the chili label on the apple, but that was the point. You know, do you grow your food or do you have it shipped in? It's commonly accepted understanding that it's best to buy local. Next step is to go dig in the dirt and plant your own. So I had fun putting the dirt in, not real dirt, although I don't think I may have. I don't think I did though. And then just a simple clean white cloth to shadow in the background.
Mandy invited me into her studio where she's got multiple oil paintings in progress. I'm happy to be able to share some of her paintings and her story with you.
My name is Mandy Dolph. I'm an artist. I'm part of this wonderful art show that we'll be doing in Simsbury coming up. And actually I'm South African, born in Africa, studied art in Africa. Actually I've been painting from the time I was very young. My father was an artist, so he was a great inspiration to me. And I really have been through a long process with my art, painting in all different kinds of mediums. I loved watercolors, and then decided to try my hand at silk painting, which I've loved, and I have a beautiful silk botanical collection and some beautiful silks, even in prints. And then I started on oils, which has been just an amazing journey for me. And right now I am doing a lot of impressionism in oils, landscapes, florals, botanicals, and I also do portraiture. So I do a whole lot of different styles and things. But really I love to paint because that's my expression. You know, people have different ways of expressing who they are, and for me my language is art. Africa's got a beautiful light. I feel like it has a different kind of light to Connecticut or anything I've seen in the States. And just a really beautiful, bright, open light with a lot of pinks. So I try to pick that up in this painting. And so this painting just picks up just the beauty, the natural beauty in Uganda. It's a very rich country known as the Pearl of Africa. And if you look in the painting, there's a lot of oranges and greens, and those are the two predominant colors that you'll see if you visit Uganda. Painting of Uganda, I actually just started it yesterday, so it's really in the beginning stages. And this is a picture from where I stayed looking out over Kampala city. I was in Uganda with a team of people giving back to the community and teaching children from the Kampala Children's Center. These children have been orphaned through AIDS and the war there that they had in the north. And also I taught the adults art as well. So we had a full workshop going, and it was an amazing way to just see people who haven't had the opportunity to paint and draw and discover their talents to really be creative, and it's just an amazing experience.
Deanna Lemkoff and Claudia Ludovici are also amazing artists that are members of the Simsbury Open Studios. I didn't get to visit them for this show, but I hope to see their art on May 3rd or 4th. Maybe I'll see you there. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the process and learning about the inspiration for some of the art that you'll be seeing when you visit the artists during their 5th annual Simsbury Open Studios event on Saturday, May 3rd and Sunday, May 4th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Maps will be available at each studio and the Ellsworth Center in the Historical Society. You can also get additional information about the event and the artists at simsburyartists.org.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.